When the Duke and Duchess of Sussex invite you to join them for a conversation, you don't say no. But I went to the Archewell Parents Summit, Mental Wellness in the Digital Age, with some trepidation. With the brutal attacks in Israel echoing in my head, I worried that somehow the state of youth mental health was somehow less relevant. I couldn't have been more wrong. I was actually invited through an Archewell advisor who knew of my work fighting hate-for-profit media responsible for teen self-harm. The parents of England Roberts, Tony, and Brandy began by sharing the story of their daughter who took her own life at just 14. Tony wanted to be clear that they were parents who paid attention to their daughter's digital life. We knew her unlock code, we knew her passwords, we knew everything. But I just didn't know how to navigate through these platforms. It was only after her passing that they found a note on England's phone. Holding it in his hand, Tony read it aloud to the audience. Behind the social media life, nobody knows the real me and how much I struggle. Here Tony was overcome with grief and handed the phone to his wife Brandy, who continued to read, "How much I struggle to make sure everyone's good, even though I'm not. If it's not one thing, it's the other. And when things are going wrong for me, I just become so self-destructive, and I just need that emotional support." 18 days later, "There was a video on Instagram depicting what our daughter did," Tony said. The words hung in the room. Sitting in the front row, Meghan Markle wiped her eyes. She was hardly alone. Then the parents of 16-year-old Mason, Dave, and Jenny DeSario joined the conversation. Mason was going through teenage drama, struggling with a bad breakup on Halloween of 2020 when he found out his girlfriend cheated on him and then ghosted him. He went searching on TikTok. The first search was, "My girlfriend broke up with me." Jenny explained what happened next. And then the TikTok started getting darker and darker and darker, and the more he engaged with those, the darker they got. And it got to the point where it was videos telling him how to harm himself and to self-harm, and how to prove your love to her. These TikToks were normalizing self-harm, she added. They were encouraging self-harm. They were even romanticizing self-harm. The Archewell Foundation, Markle and Prince Harry's charitable foundation, has taken on a clear mission: to engage and empower parents to fight for their children. The burden can't solely be on the parents, and for these parents who have experienced this extreme grief to experience extreme guilt, it's not their fault, said Markle when she and her husband joined Surgeon General Vivek Murthy on stage.
I have 1,000 questions I want to get to our friends that are here, dedicated people that have been working behind the scenes to find some solutions. They are 3 people that are using their platforms to create community with families across the country and across the world. They're also parents of children living in a digital age. We're very, very honored and thrilled that they're here. So please welcome to the stage, if you wouldn't mind, Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the United States Surgeon General. Welcome to that. Come on.
And the burden can't solely be on the parents, and for these parents who have experienced this extreme grief to not feel burdened to experience extreme guilt. It's not their fault. And many of the platforms that we've had conversations quietly behind the scenes with these tech executives, and they do feel that they have created, and they have, many of them created, parental controls and certain guardrails, much of which many parents, if you aren't tech savvy, you can't navigate that comfortably. It feels pretty overwhelming. So there has to be a better solution than that, of course. And I think equally, in every country has different guardrails on things like this. We've had insight sessions. We were just in Germany. We had one with parents there. My husband's done them in the UK, and obviously we've done a collective of families across the States. But as we've also discussed with the tech space and online harms, has been important to us prior to working specifically with families, and it's Tristan Harris, who's a friend of ours that we started working with a few years ago, founder of Center for Humane Technology. And Tristan had said, just like when something is invented, let's take the car, for example. When the car was first invented, there wasn't a seatbelt. You could smoke inside of your car. And what happened? People started to get hurt. People started to die. So you started to change the car. You would put in safeguards so that this new piece of something that is part of our evolution is adapting to keep people safe. Right now, even if you're veering off into the lane, maybe you're getting a little sleepy, it'll go beep, 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 bring you right back to where you're safe. And so as we watch the evolution of social media and the internet, what are those same modifications we need to make to ensure that just like that car, we are adapting to the times, because people are getting hurt and people, specifically children, are dying. How do we fix that? And I think it will take all of us on so many different levels, from grassroots level, of course, probably to policy, to be able to keep our families and our children safe.
Being with us physically here today, but also being on this journey for the last year, creating this community of shared experience. We know it's not hard. We know it's not easy for you guys to be here, so thank you very much. In answer to your question, Carlson, if I can answer it, I think once we started to realise how many people, how many families, how many parents there were in the US, but also around the world, that have suffered the greatest loss, we quickly realised that there was no one really in this space bringing them together. And yes, a huge part of this is to be working with Matthew and his team towards sort of the ultimate solution.
Dr. Murthy, whose groundbreaking report on the impact of social media on teen mental health has helped galvanize action, was clear that this is a platform problem, not something parents should be facing alone. These platforms are designed by the best designers and product engineers in the world, and we put the entire burden of managing that on parents and kids, he said. And I'll tell you that pitting the best designers in the world against our kids and parents, that is the definition of an unfair fight. Dr. Murthy made his final point, and the mission was clear. Parents shouldn't have to take this entire burden on their own. But I've seen firsthand that when parents use their voices, when they come together to call for a change and to push for a change, there are few voices that have the moral clarity and the strength that they do, and we need them more than ever.
I have 1,000 questions I want to get to our friends that are here, dedicated people that have been working behind the scenes to find some solutions. They are 3 people that are using their platforms to create community with families across the country and across the world. They're also parents of children living in a digital age. And we're very, very honored and thrilled that they're here. So please welcome to the stage, if you wouldn't mind, Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, the United States Surgeon General, Dr. Meghan.